All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover here today. We are starting with a surprise Stellar Blade update that basically is a Christmas update. I don't think many people were expecting this, but I think it's also very much welcome. Shift Up basically is decorating the city of Zion. They also added a couple of new soundtracks that I guess are going to be holiday themed that you can listen to. But on top of that, they are adding some new cosmetics for Eve. They're adding the Santa dress. They are adding the Santa girl hairstyle, snow crystal glasses, wreath earrings, and sleigh ear cuffs. And of course, you can customize Eve however you like with that. But they're also adding something for Adam. It's the I'm No Santa costume, which makes it look like Santa is carrying him on his shoulders. And lastly, the drone gets the Rudolph pack cosmetic, which gives drone a Rudolph mask complete with a glowing red nose. So again, a bit of a surprise update from Shift Up for Stellar Blade, and it's really cool to see them continue to support the game in this way. Let me know if you're still playing Stellar Blade or if you're going to go back for this Christmas update. We are moving on to the next topic, which talks about Elden Ring. We have new information regarding Elden Ring Nightreign. This is coming from VGC. They're reporting Elden Ring Nightreign will allow players to play the game in 3-player co-op or as a single player, but not in a duo. So there was a recent interview conducted with IGN with the game's director, who is actually not Miyazaki, it's Junya Ishizaki, and they said that the game is designed to be played as a 3-person team, but you can play it as a solo player. And then IGN asked if the game can be played 2 players, and they replied no, it's either 1 player or 3 player. Ishizaki also confirmed that the enemy health pool will scale depending on whether the game is being played in single player or as a trio. The reason that we went with a 3-player focus was that we wanted to retain that sense of accomplishment you get from battling a boss together or from conquering a map together, and that sense of enjoyment, but we wanted to recreate that in a fresh way, and we felt like focusing on a 3-player co-op experience would provide a brand new sense of accomplishment with it. So there you go, an interesting design decision from Software, where you can play solo, which I think is a huge relief to a lot of people. I have no doubt that quite a few players are going to opt in to play this solo. But if you do want to play it, I guess in the way it was meant to be played, which is cooperatively, you can only do so with 3 players. So very interesting decision there. But continuing to talk about Elden Ring Nightreign, something that fans pointed out in the Elden Ring Nightreign trailer is a Dark Souls 3 boss making its way into the world of Elden Ring, that being the Nameless King. Fans were basically freaking out about this because, I mean, that's just not something you would ever expect to see in the Elden Ring universe. And it's worth noting that the director of the game did comment on this and said that these enemies represent creatures who have strayed into Elden Ring from other universes, implying further that the various From Software IPs may have more in common than simply an NPC named Patches. And so this is, I would say, very interesting because a lot of people thought that, Elden Ring may be connected to all of these other worlds like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or maybe at the end of the day, they're all just interconnected with one another. And this seems to be the first time that From Software is kind of directly acknowledging that. And so naturally, this is leading people to wonder if we're going to see like gameplay elements and features and maybe even weapons, right? All this different stuff from all these different FromSoft games maybe making their way into this multiplayer game. I really do wonder if that's what they're kind of teasing here. But at the very least, we can confirm that there will be bosses from other FromSoft games making their way into Elden Ring Nightreign, which I think is very cool. And the final thing here, before we move on from Elden Ring, I want to let you guys know, is that it has been confirmed that Elden Ring has officially shipped over 28.6 million units worldwide, which is absolutely staggering, especially when you consider that it has now eclipsed the entirety of the Dark Souls franchise, which it's not just counting the 3 games, but the re-releases with the DLC as well as any remasters. So absolutely staggering numbers there for Elden Ring. Now, moving on from that, we have a bunch of really interesting topics regarding Microsoft. We're not only talking about Microsoft CEO basically making it clear that, yeah, guys, we are going to be putting more games across all devices. This is their goal. We also have some insider reports regarding Hellblade exclusivity as well as the next generation Xbox console and handheld. So we're starting here with Microsoft CEO. This is coming from WCCF Tech. It says Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella recently participated in the virtual annual shareholders meeting, answering questions on a variety of topics that involve the corporation's activities. Usually on these occasions, gaming is largely ignored, being a relatively minor portion of Microsoft's revenues. However, this time around, Nadella was actually asked about the early ROI or return on investment on the $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard and about progress made in 2024 on the overarching gaming strategy outlined by Microsoft. Nadella was very positive in his reply, and he also touched upon some of the brand's changes related to multi-platform releases. Quote, I'm feeling very, very good about where we are in gaming. In fact, right now, this is like the peak season for gaming. Obviously, with Black Ops and the new Call of Duty, and it's just been fantastic to see the launch and the marketing around it, the buzz around it, and the love for gaming. I think about it, right? We choose the secular growth category in entertainment, which we think is gaming, and said, let's double down on it. Let's. And it's been a passion for Microsoft ever since. In fact, I think Flight Simulator launched before Windows or Office even. And so it's like one of the longest franchises in the company. And so we said, let's take that joy of gaming everywhere. And that's why even these ads with Xbox now, where we are redefining what it means to be an Xbox fan, it's about being able to enjoy Xbox on all of your devices. So our strategy with Activision content now is in full force. We feel fantastic about the progress we've made. And more importantly, I think long term, as a company, we can bring the best of AI innovation, cloud innovation, console innovation, PC innovation to build the best games that can be enjoyed by gamers everywhere. So that is the full quote from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. And, he's just kind of hammering it home once again, where he's making it clear that their goal is to allow people to enjoy Xbox games across all of their devices. And that does now include the PlayStation 5. So he doesn't name drop the PlayStation 5, of course, but this is something that they are just, again, they're doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down on. But moving on from that, we have an insider report, speaking of exclusivity, that claims Microsoft considered Hellblade 2 Xbox exclusivity a mistake. This is actually coming from PlayStation Lifestyle. It says a Microsoft insider has claimed that Xbox's strategy of not launching Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 on PS5 has been considered a mistake by the company. Prior to Ninja Theory's acquisition, the original release, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, launched as a timed PS4 console exclusive and went on to become a commercial success. Insider and Windows Central writer Jez Corden claims to have heard from his sources that Microsoft considers Hellblade 2 exclusivity a, quote, mistake. Corden said this in a response to an X user who had asked him why games like Indiana Jones and The Outer Worlds 2 are going multi-platform while Hellblade 2 has been restricted. So he doesn't really go on any further about that. He just simply says that internally, according to his sources, Microsoft does consider this a mistake. And so you do have to wonder if because of this, they're going to prep Hellblade 2 to launch on PS5. I do think this is a game that could do relatively well on PS5 because it is that kind of single player cinematic experience. I imagine it's something they're at least considering, but it's very interesting to hear that apparently they did consider it a mistake. But moving on from that, we have another really interesting report from an insider that we have not heard from in quite some time. But this individual has been on the money when it comes to what's going on internally at Microsoft and their plans. They have been correct about everything they put out there, but they don't really reveal much all that often. In fact, the last time I believe they said anything, it had to do with Microsoft's third-party plans and what's going on with them deciding to kind of bring games over to PS5. This is the individual that goes by the username Sneakers SO. And supposedly, this is somebody who is working in the industry that is very close to Microsoft, and they had a lot to say here regarding their plans going forward. And he actually decided to give this information in response to some reporting from Jez Corden, where Jez basically said that Xbox will no longer have any permanent console exclusives. So this is what he posted. He says, quote, I mean, unless you just lay off the entire hardware team, they're going to be doing something to justify their salaries, right? The handheld and high-end unit are fairly public knowledge. The goals for both are somewhat different, though. For the handheld, it's being positioned more in the sort of vector that Steam Deck is in, but for the Windows gaming slash PC desktop app, over being an extension of the Xbox hardware ecosystem itself. What that means is imagine it as a handheld Windows PC with a wrapper for the PC Microsoft gaming app that most PC users utilize to buy Xbox games or use Game Pass on PC. What they are hoping for is that it, along with them extending this OS to other handheld PC makers like Asus and some others, is that it'll strengthen the user base and onboarding of users into the Xbox PC slash Windows gaming store experience as they are beginning to view Steam and the growth of SteamOS as a potential threat to their dominance over gaming in the operating system space. The high-end unit, or the home console unit, is positioned more as something for their core console user base, which is drastically shrinking at a rate they couldn't have anticipated. It will be available in fewer regions and markets than ever before, and even distribution in regions where they do have a market, like North America slash UK, may take on a more direct business or purchase, approach instead of going with the method of stocking it with traditional retailers, aka you buy it directly from Microsoft. It helps keep costs down and gives them a much more solid margin, especially when they already know the market ceiling is so much lower. Very similar approach on how they retail their Surface line. It's really only intended for the folks who haven't minded the turd in the punch bowl for the last 15 years, which is a fascinating way to put that at the end here. But yeah, again, this is coming from somebody who doesn't speak that often or reveal stuff that often. But when they do, they have been, like I said, completely correct about it. And so this is an interesting approach from Microsoft. It seems like the Xbox handheld is actually going to be a bit distant from the Xbox home console. They're not really going to be treating it like just an extension of the Xbox console, but it's going to be positioned more as something to compete directly with Steam and the Steam Deck and more in like the PC space. It really does sound like here, though, with what he's saying about their high-end console, like and you can't blame Microsoft for this. It sounds like they're not expecting it to really do that well. They're already anticipating that they're not going to be selling it in a lot of different regions, and they're going to kind of do a more direct to consumer approach, which is fine. Sony does do that with PlayStation Direct as well, and it's smart. But yeah, just some really interesting insight here into Microsoft's plans overall. Guys, that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.